Welcome, good evening, everyone, to the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis group.
All right.
Tonight,
Pardon, people.
before I get any further, I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
I follow this in a page.
And he's written and produced for the likes of Loki, Karen White, Alexander O'Neill, Johnny Gill, Janet Jackson, the time of all Flyte Tyme Innerview alumni, this Lisa Keith, the Sounds of Blackness, who incidentally created the blueprint for Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's favorite song on their entire Flyte Tyme catalog. I mean, after all, who doesn't know Optimistic? Outside of Flyte Tyme, he's written and produced for Shanice, Next, and Jane Child. As an upcoming solo artist as L.A. the DJ, he will be debuting his solo album project, Whipped. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to none other than Lance Alexander.
Yeah.
Oh. He will be debuting his solo album project.
Lance, how you doing?
Fellas. I'm up in here finally, right?
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, we've been trying to do this since like what, February, March, April.
Lance, how you doing?
Yes,
man. I'm awesome. I'm here with y'all, man. I'm here finally, right?
Yeah. It's been a while. Yeah, just gonna get the audio check, Paul. Your audio got feedback.
I said it one more time because I'm hearing some delays.
Yeah, we good now. Yeah, we good.
Okay, we're good now. Great.
All right, I didn't hear the question. What did you ask?
No, we were just making sure that audio's all good. So now we can get going. So Lance, how you been keeping in this COVID time?
Staying in the house. And then if I did leave and went outside, I was in the street or I was like away from people. When I went to the grocery store, I was, trying to maneuver and watch where people was moving. I would go away from where they was at, that kind of thing. Right. Go through the drive-through and come back home, get back in the studio. Yeah,
All right. So this interview has been in the making for quite a while. And how it happened with Lance and the Dynamic Duo was one of our shows, we did a remix to a song that you produced for Alexander O'Neill, Every Time I Get Up. And we did this along with DJ Marky Mark on UK246.com. And I sent it to you. Lance responded, said, hey, I like it. It's great. And I think from there is when we just started having conversations and getting to know each other. And here we are today, sitting down with Lance Alexander.
I was really, really amazed, man, that somebody even knew about that song. And the reason why is because the demo tape that I sent to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had Every Time I Get Up on it. Wow. And when we started working on the All True Man album, Terry listened to the song when I recut it in Flyte Tyme. He said, this is Alex, man, all day long. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm down. Please let Alex get in there. And when Alex went into that booth and started singing on that song, man, I thought I had to pinch myself for real.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, nice.
And you and Alexander O'Neill, you guys have been quite good friends since back then. And up to, what was it, this week I heard the story of him working with you on a project.
Yeah, Alex just left here Friday morning around about 7 a.m. heading back to Minneapolis. Came to town 2 days. And we just came in here and we hit it, I told him I was working on a project and I really would love to feature him on it. He told me he's working on a new album himself. So I said, well, look here, man, I can do something for you, you do something for me, and we can both be blessed from it. I'm just hoping and praying that what we did together would be something that would help relaunch both of our careers. Me as a songwriter, producer, as well as an artist, and him as well. Because when I tell you, Alex told me, he said, I really can't hit some of them high notes like I used to hit. I said, oh, okay. Well, we ain't gonna worry about it. Alex got up in here, man, and when I said go here, and he went there, and it sounded like that old Alexander O'Neal vibe, I was blown away. The man sounds amazing. He ain't lost nothing. He is. Woo. I can't wait for you guys to hear this dude, man.
So
Lance, drop it on us.
Huh?
I just say I hope you're gonna drop it on us as well, like your last single.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. It's all coming. As soon as we get done with this interview, I'm gonna be mixing. So yeah.
So Lance, speaking of Alex, now that we're talking about him, tell me about, if you remember, tell us about the first time you worked with Alex.
Oh man, please, I got a great story. Okay. Well, actually, when I tell this story, I have to go back if y'all don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so when Alex's first album came out, I was immediately a fan, mainly because Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and the Flyte Tyme crew was all involved with it. And I had heard, the rumors or the stories about him being the original lead singer for the time, and Morris Day was supposed to have been playing the drums, and him supposedly he went to Prince and was like, yeah, Alex gonna need a swimming pool and a jet plane or whatever. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but Prince is like, whatever. And I also heard that when Prince produced the song Sugar Walls for Sheena Easton,
Yeah.
under the name Alexander Nevermind.
That's right. Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Alexander Nevermind. That's okay. We'll move on without So anyway, when I heard Innocent, I was just like, wow, like that does kind of sound like the time, But when the album dropped and I started hearing the ballads and some of the mid-tempo stuff, like, if you meant to be my lady, not my girl, and all that, it was just like, that album was just on repeat with me, But anyway, I was doing my demo tapes in the basement, and there was a guy named Joy Elias who was an amazing singer. He actually sung some background on Alexander O'Neal's All True Man album on Every Time I Get Up.
Right.
But anyway, I did these songs with the guy, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and I said, you know what? I said, this right here sounds like an Alexander O'Neal song. She said, it does. And then I looked at her and I said, I'm gonna work with Alexander O'Neal one of these days. She said, yeah. She said, I know you are, baby. So I mean, it was really crazy how it just seemed like I was speaking things, like how I was saying, I'm gonna be a producer. I want to work with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, because I was blown away when I heard Tell Me If You Still Care. And
yeah, that's the last band.
Yeah, so man, when that came on the radio, man, I sonically I was just like in heaven. I was like, what is this? From the bass line to the guitar to the 808 drums and the background, and I was just like, so I went to the record store and grabbed the SOS band, and on the back when it said produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, I said, you mean to tell me that Prince fired these dudes and they doing this?
Right.
So it blew my mind. I was like, okay, I want to be a producer. I want to work with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And, probably about a year or so later, I was like, I want to work with Alexander O'Neal. I believe I got to get to him one day, So anyway, after I got with Flyte Tyme, the first artist that they stuck me in the studio with was Johnny Gill for his debut album.
Right.
And the second one that I jumped in, it was with Alexander O'Neal. So I'm sitting in Studio C waiting on him to come in. He comes in, I shake his hand or whatever. He said, yeah, I heard you guys got something for me. Like, yeah. He said, all right, let's hit it. So he went straight to the vocal booth, put the headphones on. He said, just let me hear what you already got, and I'll follow from there. So let me see. Okay, so anyway, y'all still see me? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes in the booth and I'm just sitting there at the mix board. I'm looking through the window and I said, Alexander O'Neal is inside this window, right through this room, and he's about to sing on some music that I wrote. I think I probably got up and said, "Look, I'll be right back," and went outside and paced the parking lot for a minute, and then came back in and said, "Okay, I'm ready, let's go." But it was just amazing, man, to just be in the same presence of all these guys. You know what I mean? It was just, it was amazing.
Wow. Can I ask you a question? Take you even further back before we go forward is, how did you make that transition of going from Kansas to Minneapolis? How did that come about? Get into Flyte Tyme.
Okay, well, okay, so of course after Purple Rain, it was a migration, right? Like anybody that played a guitar, a bass guitar, a keyboard, had the jerry curl, and had their hair flipped and hanging down and over their forehead, all moved to Minneapolis.
Wow.
You know, and when I tell you that it was like record companies are walking up and down the street downtown, just literally giving out record deals to anybody that looked like they may have had the Minneapolis sound. So I had a band here in Kansas City called the Grand Jury Band, and I think I ended up going separate ways from them around 85. So 1985, I'm like 18 years old, and a friend of mine was like, "I'm going to Minneapolis this weekend. You want to roll?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we go to Minneapolis. And the first weekend I was in Minneapolis, I went to this club called Felty's downtown Minneapolis, and the Sting and the Police, they were in town doing a concert out at the Met Center. Sting is actually in Felty's in this club downtown, sitting in with the band, playing the bass. And that was the first time that I ever saw the drummer for the Time playing guitar. And he's soloing like he's Prince. And I'm just blown away. So anyway, as I'm leaving the club, guess who's coming into the club? Jimmy Jam. So I'm real nervous. I'm like, what do I say to this dude? So I basically said, "Hey man, I'm a songwriter, record producer, man. You know, I would love to see my demo tape or whatever." And he gave me his business card. This was in 1985 though. So he gave me his business card, but of course, I didn't really feel like that my music was up to par to even send it to him at that point. Right. So I didn't send him anything. But I just kept the card like pent up on the wall, like, you know, pretty soon you're gonna be ready for that. So what happened was I met a girl named Sue Ann Carwell when I was up there in '86. And she ended up coming back to Kansas City to me, and she was one of the proteges that Prince was with. I heard he was involved with her record deal. She signed with the Warner Brothers as well. And she was real good, good friends with Alexander O'Neal, and she used to sing with Terry and Jimmy and them in Flyte Tyme and all this stuff, you know, way back in the day. So she comes to Kansas City, and me and her are working together. So after she's here for maybe about a month, she goes back to Minneapolis, and then I had a little chat with my father, and he was like, "Yo, man, I know you're going back and forth to Minneapolis and stuff, trying to make connections, but if you really, really, really gonna try to make it, you need to just go to Minneapolis and stay. Mm-hmm. You gotta go up there and make something happen." So he said this to me on a Monday. That Friday, I was on the Greyhound bus heading to Minneapolis with a brown paper bag that they give you at the grocery store full of demo tapes. And I go to Minneapolis. So I get up there, I'm homeless, you know, I'm getting little odd jobs. I was a janitor. I worked at a filling station. It was all kind of crazy jobs that I was getting, but I actually finally got my own place. Make a long story short, Grand Jury Band was up there. We ended up getting back together, start playing together. And there was a new young guy that was in the band named Tony. And since me and Grand Jury had like a little riff, they said, "Yo, man, why don't you go ask Lance to get back into the band?" So they sent him to me. "Hey, man, will you come out to the group or whatever, you know?" And the guy, Marcus Media you were talking about, he said, "Yo, man, if you join the band, I'll pay for the truck to go back to Kansas City and get your equipment." I was like, "Cool, I'm in." So we go to Kansas City, get my equipment, move it back up there. our dream as a band was to play at First Avenue. And we finally got a chance to play at First Avenue. But check this out. There was a guy named DJ Cowboy who ended up becoming, he was Grand Jury Band's manager. He was also Mint Conditions manager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we had a warehouse space in downtown St. Paul. Mint Condition would come in after school and they would rehearse until like 6 o'clock, maybe 6, 7 o'clock. Then they would leave. And then we would rehearse from 7 until whenever, like 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Then we would leave and go to White Castle and sit around and just dream. Man, wouldn't it be dope, man, if we played, man, and Prince came in and heard us and gave us a deal? Wouldn't it be dope, man, if Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis saw us and gave us a deal? So one day at First Avenue, Prince was walking by me with 2 bodyguards. And I said, yo, Prince. And he kept walking. He ignored me. So I grabbed his jacket and he stopped. And the guy, Marcus Media, he was with me. And he said, man, his bodyguards like, they're about to throw you out today into the street somewhere. So I said to Prince, I said, yo, man, I said, what about putting a funk band on Paisley Park Records? And Prince said, what? I said, what about putting a funk band on Paisley Park Records? Prince said, what's wrong with my phone? I said, nothing wrong with your phone. He said, well then, and he walked off. And I was just like, well, that didn't go over the way I thought it would, you know. Well, anyway, one day Prince came to First Avenue, and what he would do is when he was working on new songs, he would come and he would bring a cassette and stick it in and play it in the club to kind of just see how people would vibe off of it. So DJ Cowboy is DJing. Prince comes in and he puts in a cassette and he plays an instrumental version of Housequake. And so there was no singing. It was just the track, the groove, and then the chant, Housequake, dun, dun, dun. That's all was there, right? So DJ Cowboy, while he's playing the cassette, he's recording it. And after the club is over with that night, we go to rehearsal at our new place. It was like on downtown Minneapolis. He comes in there with the cassette of the song that Prince played, and he plays it. He says, y'all need to learn this. So now here we are learning how to play Housequake before Housequake even came out. So when we finally got a chance to hit the main stage at First Avenue, we ended up playing Housequake, but instead of saying Housequake, the chant, we said the foot. Because we would always say, anybody who try to play against us, we're gonna give them some foot. We're gonna kick their butt as a band. So we was chanting the foot. We look over to the side of the stage, Prince is in the club dancing to us playing his song that wasn't released. So we really thinking, well, we really about to get signed with Prince. But what really happened was after he danced around a little bit, we found out later on from DJ Cowboy that he was pissed off we was playing this music before it even came out. So anyway, make a long story short, that band that was playing Housequake at First Avenue and thought we was living our dream, we broke up. And pretty much everybody moved back to Kansas City, including Tony. So I ended up staying in Minneapolis. I got an apartment, set up a studio in there. And Tony called me and said, hey man, I'm down here in Kansas City, man. The crack thing is going crazy. People down here getting killed left and right. I'm not even comfortable being here. Can I come back to Minneapolis and move in with you? I said, yeah, man, you can come back and move in with me because we need to be working on some music anyway. Because before we went back to Kansas City, I was working in a recording studio that was letting me like have free time at night if I let them use my equipment during the daytime. So me and Tony had did like maybe 3 or 4 songs together, and I thought we had a chemistry. And my thing was always, I felt like I wanted to be Jimmy Jam so bad that I was a Jimmy Jam clone, if you will. But I didn't have a Terry Lewis. I did not have a Terry Lewis. I was like, I had to find me a Terry Lewis, somebody that can, you know, write the lyrics or, you know, stuff like that, because I want to do the music and I need somebody to do the other part. So since he and I had these songs, it was pretty good. I thought that I found my Terry Lewis. So when he moves back to Minneapolis, me and this dude, we're hitting it. Like we getting up to work, going to work, and having jobs and all that. But we were like getting maybe 2 hours of sleep before we would get up and go to work because we were working all night. And finally, I said, yo, man, this whole Minneapolis sound thing is starting to die down. That was the initial thing that got us both here. But Purple Rain was years ago. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nobody wearing Jerry curls no more. And, you know, the only person that still got high heels on is Prince. So, you know, we ain't about to put none on, you know. And I said, so instead of us spending our money to pay bills, why don't we move back to Kansas City? We'll set up a studio in the basement at my father's house. I said, and we'll also get jobs as well. But what we'll do this time is we'll use that money to travel. We'll go to Los Angeles. We can go to Atlanta and try to really get a deal because I don't know about this Minneapolis thing. I don't think it's going to pan out. So what ended up happening was we moved back here in February '89. I ended up going to the BRE convention in Long Beach that year. I met Ice Cube. I went to the BET suite, met Donnie Simpson. I told Donnie Simpson, I said, remember my face, man. Remember my name. I'm Lance. And I'm going to be on your couch on BET one of these days. And he was like, oh, yeah? Okay, well, it's nice meeting you, man. Cool, you know. So I met Ruben Rodriguez from Columbia and a few other label people. But I just got their business cards. And I sent a few tapes out. Didn't get a response. You know, came on back to Kansas City. Next thing you know, here comes the here comes the Jack the Rapper convention in Atlanta. This is like in August. So I took a collection from people that I was working with in the studio to get money to go with our money, and we went down to Atlanta. And that didn't pan out because we didn't have enough money to pay for the convention to get in. So we ended up, we thought we was gonna be to hang out in the lobby and meet people. Didn't work out for us. So we came back to Kansas City frustrated and whatever. Next thing you know, I get a phone call from one of my friends in Minneapolis named Terry Jackson, who was one of the guys who was in the original Grand Central with Morris Day and Andre and Prince. And, you know, he called me and said, yo, man, the Black Music Awards is going to be coming up next week. And I'm like, dang, I don't have no money now because I spent all my money going to Atlanta. So I told Tony, I said, yo, man, we going to take up another collection. We can't afford to rent a car. We're going to get this raggedy Honda Accord that I have. And we're going to go to Minneapolis. We're going to get us a hotel at the Motel 6. We're going to eat at White Castle every day because we ain't really got no money. But we're going to go back up here. So we go back to Minneapolis to the Black Music Awards. And when they open up the door for us to go into the convention room where they were going to have this convention thing, the seminar at or whatever, I kind of walked really fast to get to the front row. So when everybody comes out to get on the panel, it was like Bob Crabstone, I think, from Elektra Records, and somebody from ASCAP and a few other people. But also on the panel was Jimmy Jam. So they let people, they had like maybe like 3 people play their demo tapes, and then everybody on the panel would critique the demo tape. So there was this guy named Paul that played a song, and he used to work at the studio that I worked at. He was recording there. And Jimmy Jam was impressed with his tape. So Jimmy Jam said, what did you record that on? So Paul was like, well, I used Cubase to sequence everything, and I recorded it on a 16-track studio. And what I heard didn't match up to what I did on 4-track and played everything with my hand. There wasn't no sequences. So I said, if Jimmy Jam likes that, I heard him raise my hand because they was like, you know, we're gonna take a few questions. So I was doing this, trying to get them to pick me, and they wouldn't pick me. So then finally I'm doing this. And they started laughing, and they said, well, this guy right here. So I stood up, and Jimmy Jam had his Flyte Tyme jacket on. So I stood up and said, yeah, I said, my question's to Jimmy Jam. I said, I want a job, man. And one of them Flyte Tyme jackets, you got it with my name on it. And everybody in the room was like, whoa, ooh, like, did this dude just ask Jimmy Jam for a job in a room full of 200 people? So Jimmy Jam was like, Well, hey, he said, you know what? He said, we just moved our operation to a bigger facility, and we are looking for songwriters and producers. He said, so meet me over here on the side of the table when this is over with, and I'll give you my business card. So now I got Jimmy Jam's business card for the second time.
Yeah.
Now, while we're still there, we're walking around the hotel, and me and Tony, we run into Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis together. What's up, fellas? What's up? What's up? All right, you know. Then the next day, we go to Rudolph's Barbecue, which is a real popular barbecue joint in Minneapolis. And I'm going to the bathroom, and coming out of the bathroom is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. This is the next day. I said, I done ran into these cats twice in one weekend. I said, that's God trying to tell us something, man. I said, dude, I said, something about to happen, man. And he was like, you really think so? I said, yeah, man, something about to happen. We got to hurry and get back to Kansas City and get this demo tape together and send it back. Now, one of the things that Jimmy Jam broke down when he was on the seminar, he said, if somebody's sending me a demo tape, I don't want to hear the whole song. I don't have time to sit there and listen to the whole song. He said, just do a snippet. Come in with the intro, the verse, the chorus, fade out, a minute and a half, no longer than 2 minutes, go to the next song. He said, and don't send me no more 3 songs because once again, I don't have time to sit there and listen to the whole song or a whole lot of songs. The problem was I wanted Jimmy Jam to hear my versatility as a producer. So I said, there's no way they're gonna really get it by only hearing 3 songs. So I came back to Kansas City and I put together snippets like he said he wanted, but I did snippets of 11 songs and put it on my demo tape. And then I sent him a letter and I said, you know, me and Tony, you know, we want to be the next Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And who better to teach us how to be the next Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis than Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis? So I put that in a letter. Then we had this girl, I gave her the Flyte Tyme, the business card that Jimmy Jam gave me. I said, I want you to draw the Flyte Tyme logo on the letter so it feel like somebody from Flyte Tyme is sending Flyte Tyme a letter. Mm-hmm. So she draws the Flyte Tyme logo on there. We send the demo tape in. About 3 weeks went by and I called Flyte Tyme because I hadn't heard anything. So this girl named Sonia Cates gets on the phone. I said, I was just calling to find out if Jimmy Jam got the demo tape I sent him. And she said, yeah, she said, Terry's listening to it now. And I said, whoa. I said, if Jimmy listened to the demo tape, I sent it to him. And if Terry got it now, that means that Jimmy must have liked something and said, Terry, check this out. You feel what I'm saying? And I said, well, you know, man, I got a funny feeling, man, that this is going to happen. And ever since I decided that I wanted to do this as a profession, I was always every day praying that God blessed me to become a songwriter and record producer. So by the time I got on this Flyte Tyme kick, I was praying not only to get there, but to be able to work with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So now here I am waiting. And finally, a day before Halloween, Sue Owens calls the house, but I wasn't here. When I got home, my father said, you had a phone call while you were gone, and he slid this piece of paper across the table to me. And it says Susan Owens, and it said Flyte Tyme Productions. I said, you bull. So she said that if you call after 5 o'clock, she'll be gone. So I asked to speak to Terry. So now my heart is beating like crazy, right? I said, whoa. So I pick up the phone. I call Flyte Tyme. This woman answers the phone. I said, I'm not speaking to Terry. She said, hang on, put me on hold. She comes back. She said, who's calling? I said, tell my ass Alexander's calling from Kansas City. She said, all right. She puts it back on hold. About 30 seconds later, Terry picks up the phone like he know me. Lance, what's up? Come on, fellas. I need y'all to feel this with me. Come on, man. I need y'all to feel.
No, we just in all of this story, you know, to hear Jerry Lewis just come out.
Hey, Lance, we on the edge of our seats, man.
I need look, man. I'm on the phone with Terry Lewis. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had a few people famous call my house. For example, when Sue Ann was in Kansas City, she was signed to MCA, and she was working with M. Toomey, James M. Toomey. Yeah. So one day the phone rung. I answered the phone. He said, "Yeah, this is James M. Toomey calling for Sue Ann." I said, "Dang, M. Toomey just called my house, right?" So now I'm on the phone with one of my idols. He's like, "Yo, man," he said, "we got your demo tape, man." He said, "What are you guys doing down there?" I said, "What do you mean as far as what?" He said, "Like, what are you doing as far as making money or whatever?" And I said, "Well, I'm working at temp service right now." I said, "And Tony works at Sears." He said, "Oh, okay, cool." He said, "Well, man, y'all got a song on y'all's demo tape that I think would be a great song for Johnny Gill called Time to Get Live." I said, "Oh," I'm like, this is really about to happen, right? And then I got real scared because I was like, maybe he just wants that one song and that's it, you know? But then he says, "Well, listen to the demo tape." He said, you guys have what it takes, and we're looking for what you guys have here at Flyte Tyme." He said, "So call the office, call up here tomorrow, ask for Sue, and give her all your information, your address, and this, that, and this, and that." He said, "And I'm gonna fly you guys up here tomorrow night."
Oh. Was that first
Come on,
class?
man. Come on. Y'all got to go on this ride with me, man. Come on. I'm sweating again.
Was it first class?
No, you know what? I don't think it's first class. As a matter of fact, they rented us a car. It was a small compact car.
Right.
But when they put us up at MC Suites, they gave us our own suite. And I was just like, whoa, this is the big time for real. Like,
yeah, that's dope.
A suite. Two people can be in a suite, but we got our own suites, right?
Right.
So anyway, that same night, we call over to the studio, and Steve Hodge, the engineer, answers the phone, and he explains to us how to get to Flyte Tyme from the hotel. So we get to we leave the hotel, we find the Flyte Tyme building, we pull up, and we both taking deep breaths. I'm like, "Yo, man, this is it. We about to go up here and hit this buzzer." We go up the steps, we hit the buzzer, we walk in, somebody says, "Who is it?" I said, "Lance Alexander." All right, and they hit a buzzer and I go in. So me and Tony, we walk in and we stop at like, it's like you walk in, there's a kitchen and then there's this long hallway. We turn and look up the hallway and I see Jimmy Jam walking towards us. Come on, man. Do you know who Jimmy Jam is to this brother from Kansas City? You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm looking up here. It was like somebody that was a Michael Jackson impersonator looking and seeing Michael Jackson coming. You know, and losing his mind, right? But still trying to be cool. So Jimmy Jam walks down and he shakes our hands, and he says, "Welcome to Flyte Tyme, fellas." I said, "You know what? There is a God." I mean, I was just like, it's really happening. That's how we got to Flyte Tyme.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me tell you, it seems like the bumpy road was worth it, man.
Huh?
The bumpy road was worth it.
Ooh, it really was. Yeah. I mean, trust me, I was dreaming about it when I was working at that filling station in the neighborhood, the type of neighborhood where somebody would walk up and say, "Let me get 75 cents on pump one." Mm-hmm. It was that kind of neighborhood, you know. Yeah. And while I was in there, you know, I'd listen to my music on my little radio until somebody walked in. But I was still dreaming that one day I would be able to get to Flyte Tyme, and it happened.
Wow. That's a deep story, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry it was really lengthy, but I just had to just.
No, we're glad, man.
That's what we wanted. That's why we asked.
I'm trying to take y'all with me. I want y'all to go through the steps with me. You feel me?
I got a question for you. You had mentioned, was it DJ Cowboy, who was part of Mint Condition back in the day? Now I got a question for you. While you were at Perspective Records, was there any competition between your group, Low Key, and the other male groups on Perspective Records back in the day? And you sure know who were the male groups back then while you were there. any, competitive rivalry or anything between you guys?
Okay. That's a great question, man. And I got a great answer for you. Okay. So back in the day, DJ Cowboy, he was not in mint condition. He was their manager, and he was also Grand Jury manager. There was a band that came to Minneapolis from St. Louis called the Vision Band. Vision Band, when they got on stage, their sound was so big and they were so dope, man, that they was killing everybody. Mint Condition couldn't touch them. Grand Jury couldn't touch them. West Side, it was a bunch of bands that was in Minneapolis, but this Vision Band came up there and was tearing everybody's ass up. Okay, so we were like, we got to get them. And then here comes these cats, this like fresh out of high school, Stokely, Larry, Odell, and all of them. So yeah, there was a friendly competition there because the fact that we shared the same rehearsal space, we was hearing what they were doing right before we would start rehearsing. And then when we would start, they would listen to what we were doing a little bit before they left. Mm-hmm. So, we're stealing ideas from them, they're stealing ideas from us, So what was crazy was Low Key wasn't signed to Jimmy and Terry. It was me and Tony. So while me and Tony are working with Alex and Johnny Gill and all them, all of a sudden Jelly Bean brings Mint Condition in there. So now Mint Condition, they're like, yo, man, y'all here too? So we're happy for them, they happy for us, So when Terry Lewis says, hey man, what happened was we had Dre come up, he's from St. Louis. We had Dre come up and sing some background on the Alexander O'Neal All True Man album. And Terry said, when you get done with him, send him across the hall to me. And he had him singing some background stuff over there. So he got to hear Dre's voice and liked the voice a lot. So he said, yo, man, we about to start our own record label. Why don't you guys do your own album? It was just 3 of us. And I didn't want to do a 3-man group. I wanted it to be more like a band. So when I went to Terry with the idea about, how many people I wanted to put in the group, Terry was like, we already got a band. We already got a band with 6 people in it. We don't want 2 bands. So I said, all right, Terry, what if I do like a band/group? Like, what if I just put like maybe a couple of guys in the group that play instruments? He said, well, let me see what you're talking about. So that's when T-Bone and D came into the fold to make Low Key. And it was really crazy because it was like one day Sue Owen said, okay, Terry said it's time for you guys to start working on your album. So who are the guys we can fly them up? So, and I didn't tell them. I surprised them because I wanted them to feel that same thing that I felt. You feel me? When Terry Lewis called the house, I wanted them to feel that too. So, and the thing was when they came to Flyte Tyme, the album was pretty much already done. I Got Thankful was done, Sweet on You was done, I Hate a Pretty Lady was done. I just said, look, Tyrone, here's Hate a Pretty Lady. I played the bass, take it off, you play the bass. So he played the bass guitar and I took mine off or whatever, So as we got closer to release dates, it did get competitive because we didn't know if Mint Condition was gonna follow the Sounds of Blackness, Sounds being the first act that was released. We didn't know if Mint Condition was gonna be the first group to release or if it was gonna be Low Key. And when it ended up being Mint Condition, I believe it's because their album was just done before ours was, So there was always this rivalry that we never spoke on because we had so much love for each other because we've been knowing each other since '86. This is like 1991 now, you know. So those like our brothers, And we were just happy that they were working on an album, and they were happy that we were working on an album. It was just really crazy. Like, yo, one minute we're competing against each other at First Avenue. Now we're actually across the hall from each other. They were in Studio A working on their album, and we were in Studio C, while Jimmy Jam was in Studio B working on Sounds of Blackness album. And it was just it was such a time, man, where it's just like this huge music factory called Flyte Tyme, and all these people were just in there working on albums. It was crazy, man.
I can imagine.
Yeah, crazy.
And Lance, I got a question for you. This is a good segue, actually.
Okay.
Optimistic. Paul had mentioned in the intro that we all know pretty much that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis happen to think Optimistic is their favorite song.
Right.
What we also know is that a young gentleman at that time by the name of Lance Dubious came up with the drum track for Optimistic. Tell us how that really came about from the very beginning.
Okay, so I when I first got to Flyte Tyme, I had never used the SP1200 drum machine. I mean SP12 drum machine. I had never used a MPC 60. I didn't know how to sample. I was using drum machines that like a HR16, HR16B, the Kawhi drum machine, the Tom drum machine, you know, and like Jimmy Jam, he used to use that Lynn drum a lot,
right?
Or the 808. So he wasn't really into sampling like that. I was trying to learn how to sample, so I would be in Studio C like for hours and hours, day after day, just sampling snare drums, kick drums, drum loops, weird sounds, whatever. Just trying to build my MPC library up. So one day, and then whenever I would do a bunch of sampling, before I would go home, I would do a beat. And then I said, okay, save that, and I'd come do the same thing the next day. So one day, I was doing the sampling, chopping up loops and whatever, and I put this beat together. And it was playing, and then the door opened in Studio C. I never forget, Jimmy Jam had on black pants with a blue shirt, and he had his cap on, and he walked in with his hands in his pocket. And he just walked in, kind of stepping and bobbing his head to it. And then he stopped, and he was just bobbing his head. But he stood there. So I stopped the drum machine. I said, "What's up, Jam?" He said, "Hey, what's up?" I said, "Oh, man, just over here sampling, trying to put together some sounds or whatever." He said, "What you gonna do with that drum beat?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I just did it." I said, "Why, you want it?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And then he immediately said, "Okay, I'm gonna send Steve down there to record it." So he left Studio C, went up to Studio D, told Steve to come down and record the beat. And since Steve was their engineer and their recording and mix engineer, a lot of times he, like, instead of me recording it, he wanted Steve to record it because Steve probably is a better engineer to record the thing for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
So,
it. Right.
So Steve comes down, brings in a fresh 2-inch tape, throws it on, and runs it for like maybe, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. Cuts the tape, puts it back in the box. All right, cool. And then he takes it back out the door. And then I go back to sampling and doing whatever else I was doing. I probably was there till about 5 or 6 in the morning, like I always would. I didn't go into the studio till usually about 7 o'clock at night. Maybe 5, but usually about 7. But I didn't leave till 6, 7, sometime noon, because I was just, I mean, you worked all your life to try to get here. Now you're here. You're gonna do like come to the studio every now and then? No, you're gonna be there every day for 12 hours if you have to be. So a few days go by, and I want to say that maybe let's say it was a Thursday when he got the drum beat.
Right.
And let's say I came in like Tuesday the next week, and as I walked into Flyte Tyme and got to the kitchen where I could hear what was coming out of Studio B, I heard the full recording of Optimistic, the instrument, the vocals, everything. And I mean, chill bumps was going down my back, my arms. I said, "Oh."
Can't believe it.
I mean,
Wow.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing, man. My mind was so blown that that was when I realized that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were the GOATs of music production and songwriting. That's when I knew that. I mean, yeah, Babyface in LA came after them, but Babyface in LA was probably trying to get him a run, you know. And then you got Gamble and Huff in Philly, and they was doing what they was doing in the 70s or whatever. But
Right.
when I walked in there and heard what I thought used to be a drum, it was so dope, man, that I was like, I don't even hear that drum beat that I did. All I hear is this amazing song, and I was just blown away, man. Blown away. And every time I hear it to this day.
Yeah, it is, and it's still fresh and so relevant today. I mean, it's what, over 30 years it is, this song, and
Yeah.
wow, it's still an anthem to this day. I don't think anyone.
It's gonna be an anthem 100 years after we're all gone. It's gonna still be that.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
That's
true.
right.
We got to thank Lance Alexander for that.
I mean, you know what? Just this is how I say it. Just knowing that my DNA is up in that song a little bit, I mean, that can never not be a fact.
Mhm.
You know, and I'm just so thankful and proud, not only that I was there, the guy put me there during that period, but that, you know, maybe I was able to inspire Jimmy to do something musically that he wasn't thinking about because he was doing it on top of a beat that he was really feeling the groove to the beat.
Right, right.
And then that's when I also realized more and more what was going on when he came to me and said, we're gonna have a collective. It's gonna be me, Terry, you, and Tony, and we're gonna call us the Flow.
So yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah. A
sir.
lot of people don't know about that. So
Yeah.
can you expand on that?
Huh?
Can you expand on that? Because a lot of people don't know about the flow.
Yeah.
You know what? If anybody knows about the flow, they're looking at credits. They're really looking at credits because I've seen it, and I've looked on Discogs, I've looked on the actual records, and I see who's the flow. And every time I see the flow, Jimmy, Terry, Lance,
Tony.
Yeah.
So you got tell us about that, man.
What I remember is Jimmy Jam came to me one day and he said, I want the four of us to put together a collective and call ourselves the Flow. He said, and we're gonna do music and tracks that are akin to SOS Band meets Soul to Soul meets Loose Ends meets hip hop. You know? And I was like, man, I'm looking forward to this. But for that to be the first thing out of the gate about the flow, man.
Wow.
I'm sitting here tripping off over it right now that we're talking about it because, you know, sometimes, you know, so many years go by, man, and sometimes you really forget about whatever greatness God gave you and whatever greatness He put you around.
Right.
So,
true.
and I'm just humbled, man. Humbled by it.
So I mean, I remember Flyte Tyme has had so many talents that's gone through those doors. I mean, looking at the late Jim Wright, Randy Rand, who produced a couple of tracks on Johnny Gill's album.
Yeah, both of them was my dudes.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Randy Rand once at Alexander O'Neill concert. He was one of the backup singers then. And he was a real cool guy, real fun guy, you know?
Yeah.
But obviously you could tell us more about what it's like working with those type of guys as well.
Randy Rand, he was such a cool, I don't know what it was about me and Randy, but we just kind of clicked. Like, you know, I met him at First Avenue and I thought he was cool. He thought I was cool. I knew that he was Rick Ranadan. It was like, you know, in the You Look Good to Me video with Sherelle.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, you remember that song Jam and then put that Gap band feel on it?
Yeah.
Well, like in that video, I just remember how cool they was. He had the perm, and you know, I was like, all three of them is ladies, man. I already know. And since I was trying to be a ladies' man myself, I like to hang out with them. You know what I mean? So Randy just got real cool, and it was really a trip because this friend of mine, this girl named Tracy from Kansas City, came to Minneapolis to visit, and Tracy had that Jane Kennedy kind of like beauty, you know. And when Randy saw Tracy, he was like, hey. Next thing I know, Randy Rand is at my apartment because he came to see Tracy. And he sees my studio. So now he's coming back here. And now me and him was working on stuff at my crib. And I always thought that Randy Rand was going to be my way to Flyte Tyme. You know what I mean? I thought he was the one to put in the good word for me or whatever, but Randy Rand was really just trying to, you know, hold up to whatever expectations that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had for him. And I learned later on that by the time me and Prof got there, that he had left and he moved to Atlanta and started working with Dallas Austin.
Right.
Yeah.
But now Big Jim, man, may he rest in peace, man. That was my guy. Me and Big Jim, we clicked because he liked low key because we had the old school kind of sound.
Right.
Okay. And I never forget this. This is another one. I got so many great Jimmy, Terry. Okay, let me just say I'll give a Terry story right quick, and then I'm gonna segue back to this. I never forget one time I was talking to Terry Lewis in his office, and Terry said, "This demo tape that you sent in," he said, "you need to have it gold plated." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Y'all got some hits on that." And I was like, Terry Lewis is saying it about a cassette tape of songs that me and Tony did? I was like, well, if he believes it, it must be something to us. You know what I mean? So it made me believe more and more about our ability to produce hits, write hits, and you know, rub shoulders with people on that caliber in the music industry. So when they ended up giving me a prop, I don't know if it was Jimmy and Terry or who dubbed us the B Team, but by the time that I started hearing that being thrown around, once again, I was just like, dude, you done died and went to heaven and came back, and this is crazy. You know, it's really, really crazy. But anyway, it was just I forgot what I was talking about right before I was going off into that, so I was gonna come back to it.
Yeah, you were about to mention Big Jim at some point.
Yeah. Oh, Big Jimmy, right. Big Jimmy. So back to the Jimmy Jam story. Jimmy Jam came once again. He used to always walk. He would walk in with his hands in his pocket, both pockets, all the time. Especially if he was about to say something profound or whatever. So he walked in to the kitchen one time, and everybody in low key was out there, and he said, "We have to send you no hit having motherfuckers." On tour with some hit having motherfuckers. so he said, y'all gonna go on this black college tour with Sounds of Blackness and start getting a buzz, you know. So y'all gonna go out there and play Shawanda, but y'all can, you know, play I Got a Thing for You for other songs, so people start kind of getting a feel for y'all's vibe and y'all's album or y'all's music or whatever. So he sent us on tour with them. And while we was on tour with him, Big Jim just really like whenever he wasn't doing stuff with Sounds of Blackness, he was always hanging out with Low Key. Always hanging out with Low Key. And he and I would vibe even more because we were both the guys playing the keyboards and all that. So, you know, I'm telling him about this one keyboard. He's telling me about electric piano. He's talking about an organ. I'm talking about a drum machine or whatever. So when we started working on the Mo Money soundtrack,
right.
Terry Lewis came to me and said, "Hey man," he said, "I want you guys to do a song called Job Ain't Number Work, and we're gonna do it for Heavy D." I said, "Okay, cool." So we went to work on the song called Job Ain't Number Work. Once the song was done, he said, "Well, Heavy D, his schedule wouldn't permit, so we're gonna get Big Daddy Kane." All right, cool. But when we was working on the song, I told Big Jim, I said, "Yo man, I want you to come and play the electric piano patch on the keyboard on the song." So he came in and played on that. Then we did the song called Joy for the Sounds of Blackness.
Right.
So I was like, "Yo, man," I said, "I want you to come play the organ on this." So he played the organ on that. And I was the guy that gave Big Jimmy his first session checks at Flyte Tyme.
Oh, okay.
And we just got so tight from there. So, and he was also a fan of my chili. He would be like, "Hey man, I heard you made chili. Is that true?" I'd be like, "Yeah, man." He said, "Well, I know where I'm going when we leave the studio." So 5 o'clock in the morning, we leave the studio. He's following me back to my house because he wants some chili. And when we get there, we would stay up till 9 o'clock in the morning listening to old records. He would be showing me stuff on the Donny Hathaway album that I didn't know about. Something on a what's his name? Rogers, DJ Rogers. He was showing me stuff on that. Then I would show him something on a Parliament record or some obscure something that I found. And I got a whole lot of albums when I went to London the first time, doing records that I never would have found unless I came over there. Like there's a group called Opaz, and got a guy named Ray Hayden. Y'all familiar with that?
No.
Man, this stuff is so cold. It's so cold. But anyway, he was into collecting records, but I had this massive vinyl collection. So he would come over there and we would listen to music and eat chili. And when the chili was gone, we go to Subway and get our turkey sandwiches and go back to the studio. And that was just my guy, man. That was my guy. So he would always tell everybody that he learned his way around the recording studio because he was hanging out with me and calling me the master. I'm like, man, get out of here. But, it was always me complimenting him complimenting me. Gary Hines the same way. Whenever he would come in and see me, he would do his little bow, and LA proved too much for the man. I'm like, man, get out of here, man. You the master. He the master. Then when Jimmy Jam would come in, everybody would bow down. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
And I got another question for you. What's your favorite song that you wrote or produced? Yeah.
Got to think back on that.
Oops.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short commercial break while Lance thinks about what's his favorite.
You got me.
I put you on the spot.
Give us a top 5 then. You got about 5 of them?
Yeah.
Huh?
What about 5? You got your favorite top 5?
More Ways Than One, Low Key first album.
Mm-hmm.
Get Your Girlfriend, Low Key second album.
Mm-hmm.
Let's Just Run Away, Johnny Gill. Butter Love next.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Sure.
I kind of want to say Shawnee's I Wish.
I wish. That's a fantastic song.
That's a nice track.
Thank you.
Very good.
I would say that, but I also would have to line it up. You guys may not have known about when I had a record label in Atlanta. I had a group called VIP signed to my record label, and the first single we put out had Juvenile from Hot Boys. They rapped. There's a song called "Little Mama, How You Do That," and I would have to put that in that top 5 too.
All right, I'll check that out.
Yeah, we got to look for that.
I want to ask you a question. Could you name some of the artists of lesser known projects or recordings that people really don't know that you did, but the songs are out there,
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that I co-wrote the song Extra for the group Solo.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know a lot of the songs I did for Nexus' first album.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You did quite a few tracks.
The song Cozy is one of my top ones too. Oh, and oh my God, Do You Think About Me next?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That one right there is real. I really like that song. A lot of people don't know that I did the hip hop remix to Karen Wheeler's "I Adore You."
I do, yeah, that's right.
Okay. Right, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that I played a lot of the keyboard parts on a Gladys Knight song, Next Time. That was another one of them Jimmy Jam things where he walked in the studio with his hands in his pocket. And he said, "Hey man, here, I want you to do something on this, put some stuff on this Gladys Knight record." I said, "Something like what?" He said, "I don't know, man, some land shit. Put some land shit on there." I was like, "All right." And he walked out, and I put some Lance shit on there, you know. Oh, a lot of people don't know that I did the drums for Tevin Campbell's.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Can I get a groove on? Yes. Yeah. Nice one.
Karen White, I did the drums and played a lot of the little funky parts on Walking the Dog by Karen White.
Right.
Oh, and I did some extensive work on her first single, Romantic.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, and I did a couple of remixes this on the 12-inch single only. A couple of those is really funky, man. I mean, really funky.
Yeah. I know you did quite a few remixes for like The Sounds of Blackness. You just had Karen White.
Did you ever hear the low-key remix to
Seriously mixed. The Pressure.
To the Pressure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hot.
I wish I could find that one. I ain't heard that one in so long.
Yeah. No. I heard it up to about 2 days ago. We have it in our catalog as we play.
Oh, really?
Those are some of the songs we play on our show. So remember.
Yeah. Oh, also to Lance, you know, I came across, he also did one for one of our former, well, still current Flyte Tyme Innerview alumni, Rajane, Take Your Time. You did a remix on that one.
What you know about that?
Hey.
You know a lot.
Yeah, I was trying to do my R. Kelly thing on that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, if you listen to the vibe of that, with the exception of the talk box stuff that I did on there with it, but if you listen to the beat and the bass line, I was trying to do my little R. Kelly thing with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we do our research.
My wheels turning, man. I'm trying to, you know, I'm gonna start looking around in a minute. Like, okay, Boys to Men, on bended knee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, nice one.
What else? Okay, so this is my upstairs studio. I got a studio in the basement too.
Right. Okay.
There's probably some stuff down there. You know, another one of my favorites is Love Makes No Sense.
Yes,
dope track. Hot track.
As a matter of fact, Love Makes No Sense, Aphrodisia, and Lady off that album.
Yeah, well, those are some darn good classics there.
Oh yeah, no question.
Love those tracks. And I think like when I go back, listen to Alexander O'Neal, like the All True Man album, it's like he took an extension of that or what you guys did, and you followed up with that on the Love Makes No Sense album. Is that a fair statement to say?
Yeah, it is. You know what it was that was one of those B team situations.
Right.
Jimmy and Terry were so busy that, I mean, you would think that they wouldn't be so busy for Alex, but they do. Their workload was so heavy then,
right,
that they were just like, well, Alex is already familiar with them and they're familiar with him, so, you know, just let them do it, you know. And I was honored. I was like, heck yeah, we'll do it, you know.
You guys really did some excellent work with Alex, I have to say. I mean, when that album came out, I used to listen to that quite a lot, you know.
You know, Alex says this all the time. He always says, man, Love Makes No Sense should have been just as big as Fake. And I'll be like, oh, okay, well, thank you, sir. And he told me when he was here a couple of days ago, he said, man, you want to know what my favorite songs is you guys did for me? He said it was Lady. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's nice, man.
It is.
That's a big compliment. Compliment.
Yeah, for real. I mean, you know, what do you do, man? I mean, you know, other than go in the closet and let a tear drop and then come back out and be like, oh, okay, yeah, what's up, man? You know, I mean, you gotta come back with the man up because, you know, I'm telling you, man, my whole journey through this music thing is like right now. I remember when I would think I was telling somebody about the ADAT thing.
Right.
As the ADATs was starting to play out and the Pro Tools was coming in, I hated Pro Tools because I didn't understand it.
Okay.
And because it costs so much. I heard that if you want a full Pro Tools system, you got to pay $20 grand. I was like, man, whatever. So I had these M20 ADATs, right? And I'm thinking that I'm about to be having stuff that's supposed to be sounding like real tape or whatever. And the machine started acting up, messing up or whatever. So I built this recording studio, another studio after I left Atlanta. And with 4 ADAT machines, you can do 32 tracks.
Right.
2 of the machines stopped working. So that means I can only do 16 tracks.
Yeah.
I said, if I can only do 16 tracks, I'm not doing music no more. I said, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis taught me, showed me how to be a record producer and a songwriter. I said, I am a record producer. I make records. I'm not doing demos no more. And the only thing I can do with 16 tracks is do demos. So until I figure this out, I quit. So in 2004, I stopped doing music.
Wow.
Right.
But you're back now.
Yeah, I got back. Getting back into it in 2013.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a long time, man.
Very much.
Yeah.
Woo, wasn't it? What?
That's a
I'm
long
gonna
time.
tell you what it was. When Logic Pro 10 came out in July 2013, just looking at how the colors on that dang thing and how bright it, you know what I'm saying? It didn't look like, it didn't have that old dump, that mundane look to it. And I said, ooh. I said, maybe I need to go and get that. And I told you guys that they said that if you wanted a Pro Tools setup, 20 grand. Logic
Right.
Pro was $199. I said, okay, I'm back.
Yeah, it makes
I can
it
afford
easy.
that.
I've been using Logic since version 7, so the colors are dope. They are.
Yeah. When it went there, I was like, okay, I'm back.
Yeah. Nice. I got a question for you, man. That's another good segue. So you gave us a lot of history, man, from the early days of Kansas City through, Flyte Tyme, Minneapolis, what have you. And now you have not one, but 2 singles out under the Lance Alexander project.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that. And with that, sort of a combination question, because now we're 2021. We're talking Pro Tools. We're just talking about ADAT. We're talking about 2-inch tape. Music has changed a lot in R&B.
Yeah.
Contemporary, urban contemporary, new progressive R&B, whatever you want to call it. After you answer that first question, give us an idea of what and where you think the music industry is now. And if somebody was a young Lance Dubious, so to speak, what would you tell them about the music industry and how to get started?
Well, let me see. So you give me the first half of the question again.
The first half of it is
was about, it's about the singles that I released and
the singles that you released.
Okay, well, let me see. Okay, you guys, I wrote a book about my life. Okay, the book is called Good King Bad.
Okay,
and my plan was when I put this book out, I want the book to have a soundtrack to go with the book.
Right.
And some of the songs that I talked about in the book, I wanted to be on the soundtrack. So this was this whole concept that I wanted to do. And what I was going to be doing was transferring songs from ADAT into the digital realm to put together the soundtrack.
Okay.
But once I got Logic, I started doing all this new music.
Right.
So then I was like, maybe you do an album called Old You, New You, where you taking stuff that you did on ADAT when you was younger and finish it as you're older. And it's like you came together with the young you and the older you, and you got this album. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to use older in any dang thing, so forget that. So anyway, one day I said, yo, man, this is what it was. When I said, when I do the song Whipped, I want the cover, not album cover, the cover for the song Whipped to look like the Ohio Players' Honey.
Yes.
I noticed. I picked that up.
You know what I'm saying?
I
wanted to have that look. I want to be a nude woman posing with nothing but a whip. Just like the nude woman was posing with a dang a honey jar and with a dang water hose and you know.
Yeah.
So when I finally got it, and I did the photography for that too.
Right.
So, yeah, so when I got when I got a woman that said, "Yeah, I'm interested in doing that," and she took all the clothes off and posed with the thing, and we set it up. Once the cover was done, I said, this cover is too good to be wasted on a single. It has to be Whip has to be an album.
Right.
So I started working on an album. I'm telling you, like maybe 2 years ago, I said, man, you know what? I got to do an album. Now, I'd always been talking about doing a Quincy Jones type album where I'd have different people on different songs or whatever. And then I started hearing that Jimmy and Terry was doing it. I said, oh man, they come up with my idea. And then I found out, well, they actually had an idea to do that years ago too. They just just not getting around to it, you know. But I was like, yo, I said, this is crazy that while I'm talking about and working towards putting mine out, they're doing the same thing. So it was kind of like, I was like, this is gonna be kind of cool, you know. It's like the student against the teacher.
Yeah.
But I ain't got that BMG machine behind me like they do, you know. Number one. Number two, I ain't got Mariah. I ain't got Boys to Men. I ain't, you know. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to put a lot of unknown artists in Kansas City on there, feature them on there, as well as, you know, like RL from Nexus on the song. You know, I got Alex on the song. I got Yolanda Lunn, who was a girl that I hooked up with the Sounds of Blackness from Kansas City some years back. Yolanda Lunn has a song on there, you know, and it's a really, man, this album is like, what do they call it? Like, they call it like your opus, like it's your, you know, I just feel like it's my best work.
Your best work, right.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why I say it is because now that I understand the digital stuff, like you said, you know, there's no more 2-inch tape. It ain't no ADATs. Everything is in the computer. And I literally will grab my laptop and go to like a park and sit there and start working on my track.
Yeah.
And then if I come up with something that sticks, then it's like, okay, cool, I need somebody to sing this song, or, you know, I got the chorus. And here's the other thing that I love about this album is that God showed me that I had a talent that I may have kind of knew about, but I just didn't want to deal with, which is I'm writing 100% of the songs.
Right.
Good. Yeah.
You know, it's like it's like I don't even want to collaborate with people. People be coming in here to singing that probably could write, but before they even get a chance, as soon as I see them grab a pen, I'll be like, done. They be like, huh? I'm like, it's done. Get on the microphone, sing it. Go like that, like this, like that, like that. I'll be like, no, I don't even want to co-write with nobody. Right, and the reason why is because that's kind of difficult in a way. It depends on what kind of relationship you got with who you're writing with. Because when I did VIP's album, there's a song called Past 10 Lovers. There was a single that did really well, like in certain regions, you know. It actually charted, like in the local Minneapolis Billboard. It actually charted on that thing. So you got a song called Past 10 Lovers. You got a song called what is it called? Please Me, Tease Me. A song called Mr. Hit Me Up. And 2 more songs that I co-wrote with RL from Next. Okay. Now, when I put the album out, I got a phone call from an attorney. Hi, yeah, this is I represent RL, and I understand that you put out you released some music that you and him wrote together, and you didn't get permission from him, and this and that and this and that and this and that. I said, listen, sir. I said, anytime somebody writes 50-50, if he did half of it and I did half of it, I don't have to get permission, because if I got half of it, it's automatic. But now if you write 50% and somebody did 20%, another person did 10, another person did 15, now y'all all got to get together and make sure everything is right.
Gotta get the splits. Gotta get the splits right.
Right. So I hadn't talked to RL in a while. I couldn't get in touch with him, you know. So it was a couple songs that I may have had 70 to 75% of the song instead of 50% of the song. But I just lowered mine to 50, so I didn't have to deal with that. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I'm you know, God just started dropping the whole songs on me, man. I'm just like, okay, wow. And I'm just quite in awe, to be honest, about, you know, was there, huh?
No, I was gonna say the question now is, so when is the album gonna be released?
Well, the plan was to release the album between October and November, but all the work I planned on doing in the month of September got thwarted because I was in a car accident, rear-ended. Now check this out, I was rear-ended by two, I'm in the car and I got hit by two cars. Boom, on this side and that side. And when they hit me so hard that the back of the car went up in the air and came back down. Wow. So now I'm having all this extra back pain. I'm trying to go to the chiropractor and the attorneys is kind of go in on what's happening with that. So it just really threw everything off. So right now, my birthday is December 21st. I'm thinking it might be really special to release the album on my birthday.
Right.
Okay, well, we're gonna listen out for that. And I'm sure you're gonna drop it on us here at the Dynamic Duo.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this though. If the album doesn't come out until December, I will be releasing at least probably 2 more singles.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Forward to it, definitely.
How do you say?
Well, you haven't said much. What's going on?
Yeah, just got another question. One final question from me. And I came across the research, I researched it, and I noticed that you did some work on the Tyme jerk out. What was that recording session like with all those guys in there? Different personalities, and Jimmy and Terry, you got Morris, you got Jerome, Jellybean. Right. What was that recording session like?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, before I go there, I got another story I want to segue.
Bring it.
Okay. So I had been in Flyte Tyme for about 2 months, right? So evidently Prince is getting everybody geared up for not only the Pandemonium album and his album for the Graffiti Bridge thing, but they're actually getting ready to film Graffiti Bridge out of Paisley Park, right?
Yeah.
At least I found out that that's what was going on. The Tyme was rehearsing at Flyte Tyme at the rehearsal space in the back when I was working with Alexander O'Neal for the All True Man album. That's why Jesse Johnson's playing the guitar on Hang On, because he came out of the rehearsal and he heard me playing music in Studio C. So Jesse does a Jimmy Jam and walks in the studio. He got his guitar strapped on him. He walked in, he's like, man, he said, yo, man, he said, that sounds like some of that Kansas City slow two-step in the music right there. I said, that's exactly what it is. He said, yeah, man. He said, you should let me get on it.
Just like that.
What?
Jesse.
Are you serious? Jesse Johnson just walk in here and say he want to get on the record. Are you serious?
Jesse.
So I'm like, man, I heard him grab him a plug and handed it to him. So, but anyway, so I've been knowing Jellybean for years, Jerome for years, didn't meet Jimmy and Terry officially until I got to Flyte Tyme, didn't meet Jesse until around that time, and didn't meet Monty till around that time, and definitely didn't meet Morris till around that time. So one day I'm at Flyte Tyme and I'm coming through the kitchen. Remember I told you about how you hit the ding dong and they look and see you out there and buzz you in?
Yeah.
Well, I was right by the back door when somebody hit the buzzer. So it wasn't used to me trying to go find a phone and look and see who's out there and buzzing. I just went to the door. So I go to the door, open the door, and Prince walks in with an all yellow suit on.
Yeah, miss him.
Yeah, miss that guy.
You see this look on my face?
Yeah. You want that?
Hold on. And when he walks in, he has a full beard.
Yeah,
this is for the public seen the beard. Yeah. He has a full beard. And I said, yo, hey man, I said, when the women see that beard, you gonna drive. Just get ready for that, man. He's like, oh yeah, you think so? I said, oh yeah, you about to kill him with the beard. He's like, cool. He said, thanks, man. And he said, is Jimmy and Terry here? I said, yeah, they up front. So Prince walks around up front. I go back in the studio and working on what I'm working on. But whenever you get done to flight time, you have to do a session report to show what time you started, what time you got done. And then put it in the box for Sue to keep up with all the sessions. So when I got done, I go up front. Prince is still up there. Every member of the time is up there. And I go up there and I put my session report in. But there's no way where I'm gonna be in a room with everybody in time and Prince and not find a way to stay in the damn room, right? So I walk back around and I sit down at one of the computers at the desk and act like I'm, you know, checking my email or whatever. But really, I was just trying to be a fly on the wall. And these guys are sitting in the room talking about the 1999 tour and the controversy tour. And I remember as a teenager, I went to both of them tours. I was in the audience looking at y'all, and now I'm sitting up here, and there's Prince, there's Morris, there's Jimmy, there's Terry, there's Monty, there's Jelly Bean, there's Jesse, and Jerome, and I'm just sitting here like, ain't nobody gonna believe this shit. Ain't nobody gonna believe it. Man, I'm telling you, bro, this whole journey, man, has just been crazy. So anyway, during this period, I'm hearing Blondie blasting out of the speakers in Studio B.
That's my jam right there.
Yeah, I'm hearing Chocolate blasting out of the speakers in there. And then I hear Jerk Out. And once again, Jimmy comes over to Studio C while I'm in there doing my samples and putting stuff together. Hey man, I was like, what's up? I want you to do a remix for me. I said, okay. Jerk Out. Okay.
That's like gold.
It's almost like, man, I'm telling you, man, all the surprises that caught you off guard was always Jimmy related. Terry would hit you with this type of deep stuff. Terry Lewis said, he said, look here, man. He said, you going to Kansas City for your Christmas holiday, right? I said, yeah. He said, hey man, if you got any art, you don't need an artist down there, man. He said, you know, sign them to the label. I said, who? You said tell her who to sign them to the label. He said, you sign them to the label. I said, yeah, right. I said, I don't have the juice to sign an artist to the label. He said, yeah, you do. I said, yeah, right. He said, if I say you do, you do. I said, I'm gonna need that in writing. He grabs $1 bill, right? I wish I had the thing here so I could show it to y'all. He grabs $1 bill, grabs a magic marker, and writes down, Lance, this is the juice, and then signs to Terry Lewis and hands me the $1. He said, now it's in writing, now. Okay. So I go to Kansas City, and a guy that used to be a part of my crew when I was doing the demos in the basement. I had a crew of people. This girl named Tanya. This girl named what was her name? Shoshana, and then I had a rapper named Marcel. And then Tony was down there, and then this guy named Icy Rock, DJ, was down there. He let me use one of his drum machines. So I used to always tell everybody in the crew, I said, yo, if somebody make it, then you come back and get somebody else, and we can, you know, try to help everybody out or whatever. So since that's what I was on, I came back here to Kansas City for the holiday. And I go over Icy Rock's house. He plays me this demo tape of this cat named Tech Nine. Now, I don't know if y'all ever heard of the rapper Tech Nine.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. I remember him. Yeah.
Okay, so Tech Nine, he's the king of Kansas City right now. He's the most successful independent rapper ever. Okay, been on the Forbes list and every dang thing. But his first deal, I went to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and I said, "Yo, I want to sign this. I want to sign this rapper, you know." And Terry said, "Well, where's the demo tape at?" Icy Rock wouldn't let me have a demo, but he gave me this black and white glossy, and in the picture, Tech Nine got his hair all spiked up in the air, it's red and all that. And he has this long goatee. So I showed Terry Lewis the picture. I said, "This is who I want to sign." And I hit him with the picture. And Terry just starts grinning, shaking his head. He said, "Hell yeah." He said, "I don't know, this motherfucker remind me of Rick James or something, you know." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Yeah." I said, "So what's up? You said I could sign if somebody could sign." I said, "You gonna be signing?" He said, "Yeah, we're gonna sign it." And sure enough, they signed Tech Nine to Perspective A&M Records.
Right.
So those are the shocks that he hits you with, you know.
Right.
It's used some more business related stuff. The creative shocks is Jimmy coming in like, "Yeah, do this, do that."
Right.
So what I was gonna say was, it's kind of like the day when Sue Owens called me and told me, Jimmy Jam said, "Meet him at the studio and bring your drum sounds with you at 7:00."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Okay." So I get my drum sounds, I go down to the studio, and I'm just sitting in the kitchen chilling, watching a game or something on TV. Finally, here comes Jimmy walking in with Janet.
Oh.
So
Wow.
he's like, come on to Studio B, man. He said, go get the MPC. I go get the MPC, bring it over there in Studio B. He said, "We're about to work on a song called Scream, featuring Michael and Janet."
Wow.
I'm like, "Okay." He said, "So give us a beat." And then I said, "What kind of beat you want?" And then Jimmy Jam, every now and then, he'd be like, "I don't know, motherfucker." He said, "Just some land shit, you know." I was like, "All right, cool." So now I'm in there sampling and sampling, like glass breaking and trying this snare and this and that. And every now and then when I'd get a beat going, I'd hit it. And then Janet would stand up and say, "Slow it down a little bit." And I slow it down and she would start dancing to it. She's like, "No, speed it back up to where it was." And I take it back up. And she said, "Speed it up even more." And I speed it up more. She's like, "No, you're right the first time. Take it back where it was." And I'll take it back there. Now, usually when I do a drum beat, it takes me like 15 minutes, you know. Never have I ever spent 7 hours on a beat before in my life. But I learned something. I learned something that day. Jimmy Jam showed me, "Look here, bro. I'm about to make you responsible for something that involves two of the most popular people in the music game. That girl right there and her brother. So you're gonna take your time. If I have to make you go through 19 hi-hats to get the one that sounds right, pull up another one, man. You like that one? No, pull up another one. You like this one? No, it's too tensy. Do another one." Until he heard the hi-hat he wanted, you know. But the drum pattern and the sounds and all that, I put it all together, boom. Once again, I go in the studio. It may have been, I don't know how much longer it was, but it was after they had went to LA and had Michael's engineer mix it. Steve Hodge didn't mix it.
Right. I heard that.
But when they brought it in to let Steve hear it, so Steve could, you know, give his stamp and say if he liked the mix or not, they played that dang thing. And when it kicked in and I heard the beat in the background, I said, "Lord have mercy."
Wow.
Once again.
Right.
But more excited than me hearing the beat that I did under the song, what excited me the most was when I heard Michael Jackson say, "Stop fucking with me." Oh man! I said, "Yo, he can cuss. He cuss."
Oh man!
On a record. I was blown away, man. I was telling everybody, I said, man, Michael got a record coming out, man. He said, "Stop fucking with me." He was like, "Yeah, all right." Didn't nobody believe me. Didn't nobody believe me. But yeah, man, it was always surprises with them, but there were always great surprises and stuff that you know that will last you a lifetime. You never will forget it. I'm so indebted to them and proud of them and what they're doing right now. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this on this interview. When this album is done, I want Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis to hear it, and I want them to see. Well, not see if they can, but I'm gonna say, look, fellas, can y'all go holler at BMG and get some distribution for Baby Honey Records? With your boy.
Why not?
You know what I'm saying?
Why not?
And just let them just bless me again. You know what I mean?
Hey, why not, man?
No,
Hey, you bless them 100-fold, man.
Well, you know what? It was a blessing to be a blessing, and I'm just so glad, man, that God told me go to Minneapolis when I was in 1985, when I was 18 years old. Go to Minneapolis, and what ended up coming from that?
well, look at you now. So one of the last questions we want to ask before we wrap up, Lance, is what would you say you took working Flyte Tyme with Jimmy and Terry? What did you learn the most that still stays with you today, even now that you're back recording?
Well, they just look, they taught me the manufacturing of, okay, this is what I heard Terry Lewis say one time, and I get what he's saying. He said, a lot of people will do a beat and think because they did a beat, they're a producer. And then they might say to somebody, a rapper or a singer, and the singer will put whatever they put on it, you know, and they say, yeah, I produced that, you know, but really just did the beat. No, you just did the beat. A producer is there from the very beginning of the song to the end of the song, number one. And number two, a producer is somebody that on demand, you can say, I need a song. And you say, come on. And you walk in a room that's silent. You don't hear nothing in that room. But by the time you get done, it's a completed song, background vocals, lead vocals, delay, guitar parts, keyboard layers, drum beats, breakdowns, bridges, whatever, intro, outro, all that stuff. If you a producer, you can on demand do that. And they showed me how to do that. And that right there is the gift that keeps on giving, bro. It really is.
I hear you. I hear you.
That's great. That there, Lance, has been very informative. We want to thank you so much. Doug, Paul, do you have any more questions for Lance?
I'm good, man. I mean, this was, in my mind, a fantastic interview, man. I really thank you for coming on board and talking to us, sharing these stories with Flyte Tyme and your musical journey.
Yeah, definitely. And we are definitely looking forward to being whipped very soon.
Oh yeah,
well,
no doubt.
Not personally, but you know, the other.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now notice that the girl had the whip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's the one that's and on the song, that's why the girl on the song, she say, I'll whip. You don't ask for my phone number because I'll whip. But yeah, man, I want to thank you guys, man, not only for the interview and for the opportunity and for the, you know, playing the song and liking the music. But I want to thank you guys for just embracing Flyte Tyme to the level to have this format for Jimmy, Terry, and anybody Flyte Tyme related to be able to come to y'all. As a matter of fact, do I need to call Alex and have him give you guys a little Jane?
Why not?
Yeah,
Nice,
definitely.
Why not? Hey,
Definitely.
go for
We
it.
have a membership here of over 6,500 members, and they would love to hear from Alex.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah, no question.
Well,
no question.
Well, you know what? All I can tell you guys is that when you hear this brother and the way he sounds on these records, man, you guys are gonna be like, there he is. I mean, I told him, I said, bro, I said, not only did God gift you to be able to sing the way you sing, but he gave you a voice that don't sound like nobody else.
Not at all.
You got that right. Yeah.
He can just do one little thing and you be like, there's Alex.
That's Alex.
That's right.
I love it, man. I just love it. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Lance.
brother.
And remember, you can join the Dynamic Duo every other Saturday on UK 246 as we present the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis collection. And today's recording of the Flyte Tyme Innerviews you will see on YouTube as well. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's
And
right.
you can check us out on all of our social media. Linktree, the Dynamic Duo. So on behalf of myself, J4, Mr. Fresh, again, we want to thank the legend, Lance Alexander, for being down with us. And we want to say to you, be safe, be vaccinated, and remember, live life to the fullest.
That's right.
You're out, everyone. Peace.
Peace.
Later.